Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. We're on the European account and today is April 29th, Monday. We had a choose your champion and watch a Hearthstone tournament for 4 hours on Twitch thing that you could do. I believe is now over, and it got me 2 packs. Maybe I'll get some more packs later. That's where these packs are coming from. Not being treated very well by Hearthstone so far. The Americas account left me sorely lacking in victories, and eventually I just said, you know what, let's move over, because this is just gonna be irritating otherwise. I don't believe any of those cards are new. So yeah, all 10 of those are just disenchanted for dust. And we're still left with a question mark as far as when the single player expansion is coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if it's tomorrow, but I've been saying it's Tuesday or Thursday for the past 3 to 4 weeks for an entire month now, so you really can't trust me on that at all, can you? So we need to play rogue cards and we need to play paladin and priest games. The good news is paladin decks work pretty well. So if I just come over here and choose this paladin deck and play, not only will that probably get me some victories for the daily quest, it'll probably get me up in ranked play, which would be nice because we're ending ranked on the Americas account with a high of 13 and at rank 14. It would be nice if we could get the European and Asian accounts also up to that tier. That would add a level of confidence about my skill when I'm playing the right decks and it's working correctly. I'm not going to trade anything in this case. And we've got a lot of news, but not a lot that actually matters, quite frankly. Let's see. Tech Raptor has a story here. The death of Aaron Myers combines short stories with point and click gaming. I haven't heard of this game. Is it out yet, or is this a game? Let's see. You can get it on Steam, so we'll look at it on Steam. Then just bring over the Steam page, and let's see. No reviews so far. Interesting that I missed this game or have forgotten this game. It's very possible I didn't miss this game and it is on my follow list. I'm up to the point where I'm going to do recordings of the Halloween month. I think after that a follow list cleanup series live streamed now and then released in November works pretty well. Death of Aaron Myers does look like it's a fine point and click adventure game, and I am a sucker for point and click adventure games, so I will definitely make sure that that is on my fall list. There's a lot of fall list cleanup though that needs to happen. Okay.
Got something to hide?
And then this. And then this. Job done. And then the turn. Tech Raptor has another article here. Nintendo Switch 8.0.0 update adds overclocking via boost mode. So, I don't know how that would work. Though. Effectively, boost mode overclocks the CPU, which usually runs at 1 GHz to 1.7 GHz in some situations. This theoretically allows games to load faster and perform better. after 8.0.0 went live, updates for Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda were released. These updates supposedly reduced the game's loading times fairly significantly. Yeah, I guess if you in every load screen can say, alright, overclock the processor for the duration of this load, because we know that the duration of this load is going to be a limited amount of time, that kind of makes sense. One would argue that boost modes have done a lot for CPUs, but I personally don't like them. The idea of spending the extra processing power to determine that you need more processing power seems counterintuitive. I personally would just like to see the core clock speed, the base clock speed, always moving faster. Unless you're talking something that's trying to be power efficient or save battery, and then it makes a lot of sense to have some cores on a CPU be slower and some cores be faster and have a boost mode. And the Tegra processor in particular on the Switch is a mobile processor designed for efficiency. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we found a case where the where some game goes into boost mode for so long that it causes a problem.
For justice.
I wouldn't be surprised 1 second if that eventually happens, and some games start getting the Switch very overheated. 1 gigahertz is particularly slow, though. I think the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, for instance, I think it runs at like 1.2 gigahertz itself. Maybe it doesn't have as many cores, so maybe the Tegra has like 8 cores at 1 gigahertz. But threaded speed is not as good as single core speed in most instances.
Is someone injured?
The article continues, says fast travel time. Boost mode reduced Breath of the Wild's fast travel time by 8 seconds, shrine entering by 3 seconds, and file save loading by 10 seconds. So that's definitely noticeable speeds. The question, I guess, would be how long in total does it take to fast travel? Was it 16 seconds, now it's 8 seconds, or was it 30 seconds, now 22 seconds? Because those two could be big differences.
For justice.
Job's done.
But yeah, I think Nintendo is definitely going in the right direction by having boost modes and trying to use their processor as much as possible. But it is also arguable that the Nintendo Switch in general is too slow and too old hardware already, and it's time for them to it's already time for Nintendo to think about a Switch Plus with a faster processor inside of it. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. World of Warcraft Classic shares itemization and item update details. So they're working on World of Warcraft Classic to try to bring back people who played World of Warcraft, and they're giving out details in the forum. World of Warcraft Classic almost certainly is not going to feel as much like World of Warcraft originally felt like anyways, but it will be something somewhat like that. And I don't know if it really is going to get too many people back into playing World of Warcraft, frankly.
Let the pain speak to me.
Usually I don't talk about Kickstarters, but I seem to make a special exception for games made by Cyan. So their Destructoid put out an article here. Mist Developers Firmament Kickstarter hits its goal. Or Mist Developers Firmament, as in the developers own the game, Firmament hits the Kickstarter goal. That's a weird way of phrasing that. I don't know if it's hit all of its Kickstarter goals or just enough to guarantee the game is getting made, or at least promise that the game is getting made.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see. I can't do anything here. I'm still gonna end up losing. Today is not a good day for Hearthstone, I can already tell you. Now, I do wonder if sometimes it's just attitude, and sometimes I wonder, though, if it is just everybody is playing at the end of the month, trying to get their rank up, and so people are taking it more serious these days. But I'm playing on I'm playing on ranked right now, so I should probably be playing on casual.
Like to play with fire?
Because yeah, that certainly was my case too, is that I wanted to
Got
increase
something to hide?
my rank.
Reporting for
Job's
duty.
done.
Next we have a game on Steam called Zyke Run, which feels very black and white and minimalistic, which can be a good thing or can be a bad thing. Every single screenshot there really has failed to tell me anything, so it's really only in this video that I might learn something. Seems like it's a puzzle point and click adventure game. This is one of those games where it's so highly artistic that it would be it's hard to tell if it's good or not, but I think it deserves a chance. So it's $5.99 right now with no discount. I'll put it on the follow list. It says 3 hours of gameplay. The game won't be the same every time you play it. Multiple scenarios and events happen at random, so you won't be able to program your next move. Interesting. So yeah, I'll give this a follow list and I'll put it on the follow list and see what that does or means.
Reporting for duty.
Meanwhile, I'm about to lose. And see, I said I could win with ranked play, and clearly I can't. It's just like the worst. So let's just play casual. GameIndustry.biz has an article. This is probably the biggest story over the weekend that we have to talk about today. Rydo employees threaten walkout over forced arbitration. Now, it is 100% important to point out that every company does forced arbitration. Every company is evil because they do forced arbitration. This is a number one typical. The reason forced arbitration exists is exactly how it's being used. So Riot's not doing anything that any other United States company isn't doing of a certain size. The problem is there has been enough sowing the seeds of proving and then adding to provable accusations, making more accusations against Riot, and it being a sexist, hostile work environment, which I think some of that definitely has been proven at this point.
Job's done.
but I bet a lot of it is not. So now it all kind of has led to female employees or former female employees trying to sue for wage sex discriminations in payment. And so of course their lawyers say, well, you signed this arbitration agreement, which might be legally enforceable and might not be. Oftentimes though, the United States judicial system has enforced arbitration over and over again. I think it shouldn't, but that really is a matter of people need to contact their congressmen and their senators and say, we want to get rid of all arbitration clauses with employment. It is unfair and unjust that a civil dispute between us, between an employee and an employer, can be taken out of the judicial system and put into a system that is not regulated and in no way as fair or justice-minded as the U.S. courts civil system. So the article continues, League of Legends developers attempt to keep workers' gender discrimination claims out of the courts is drawing backlash. Now, almost certainly this was a very initial filing of their law firm to say, well, there's no jurisdiction here. They've signed an arbitration agreement. They have to go through arbitration first. Or instead, I guess is a better word to say than first. Now, there really is nothing stopping Riot employees from walking out on their job and quitting. There's nothing, and very possibly this might be the kind of act of civil disobedience, or I guess it's not really civil disobedience, the kind of act that would need to happen in the same way that you can try to start a union by calling a strike in most cases, and having employees walk out at any point. I suppose you could certainly do the same thing over this instance. We saw this on YouTube, certainly, where employees threatened to walk out and not come to work, and when there was one person who was not spouting the SJW lines, and put out a thing, and they actually got him fired, which I think he certainly had a right to sue both the other employees and Google for ruining his career. But yeah, if the employees want to walk out, that's fine. If the employees do walk out, don't be surprised for 1 second that they get fired immediately for not coming into work. And trust me, there definitely won't be a way of them winning any lawsuits for not refusing to show up to work, regardless of the reasons. Let's see. The thing here that I think is misrepresented here, though, more than anything, is that arbitration agreements 100% are for sex and discrimination lawsuits. They are 100% for that. There's no other reason that most employees would ever sue their employer if it wasn't, you discriminated me based on sex or gender or something else. And inherently, you can make the argument that arbitration agreements in general are sexist and discriminatory against minorities more than anybody else. And I would buy that argument. But I don't think Riot's really doing anything different than any other company. It's just that this is video game news, and so we're talking about Riot. It is also worth mentioning, as I skip over this point here is that GameIndustry.biz is pretty SJW, so they're going to put their spin on an article like this, although I'm not saying anything outside of what I had heard before. The original claims of discrimination were from a Kotaku hit piece against Riot that was, in my opinion, poorly written and did not have details of things that were actually worth mentioning. It wasn't until follow-up articles and follow-up claims that Riot eventually was revealed, to my mind, to be a boys club, hostile, unprofessional work environment. I still wouldn't be surprised if, in all actuality, Riot is, for the most part, an average company that has one bad manager, one bad CEO, and that has just been expanded out and shown ridiculous in a ridiculous way. In a weird way too, I don't want to blame the victims, but sometimes there are people that are just out there to make themselves the victims. SJWs try to do that all the time. I believe her name is Rihanna Price, who was, I believe, working for Anthem. I'm not remembering any of this. There was a female employee who attacked the fan base and went on this Twitter rant, and eventually they pretty quickly they fired her for being just unprofessional and attacking the fan base when one streamer who had connections with the company asked a very simple, or said a very simple comment. Well, that person, I think her name is Rihanna Price, I think might be Rice. This is all off the top of my head, so all of this could be wrong. But that same person now is somehow wrapped herself up in the whole anime and kick Vic Mignogna's scene. And it's just like, how in the world do you go from being this SJW person who claims abuse working for video game companies, get fired, and then immediately in less than a year get wrapped up in yet another SJW attempt to claim to play the victim. Man, I'm gonna lose again. Might as well just play cards. Yeah. And I'm not particularly covering the Vic Mignogna situation. It seems, from what I've heard, I've probably only heard from the I stand with Vic side for the most part, so I probably don't have a balanced input there, but from what I've heard from that side, it seems pretty ridiculous, and it's actually going to a lawsuit, so this will be, and if this actually makes it to a lawsuit, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. The most disturbing thing I've heard about the Vic Mignogna situation is, in particular, that a actual list was created with the intent to have an organized attempt to ruin the lives of these people that SJWs didn't like. That they had created a hit list of people, and they were going to make claims that were probably false against these people.
Uther versus Thrall.
And that's certainly disturbing. And that is not approaching or making claims with clean hands. That is straight up just conspiracy. Moving on to actual news stories where I can actually look at the facts. TechRaptor has an article, Steam reaches 1 billion accounts. Does that mean that even the most popular game on Steam, which was probably PUBG, has 1 billion players? No, of course not. But yeah, 1 billion accounts. That being said, how many of those billion accounts were bot accounts also that have since been kicked out of Steam. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a large number of bot accounts that have been VAC banned. And there is a big difference between having a Steam account and being a consistent Steam user and person who pays money to Valve on a monthly basis or even an annual basis. I don't pay money to Valve on a monthly basis. I don't buy games every month. So it'd be kind of hard though to have a Steam account and not buy at least one game on there. Very few free-to-play games on Steam. But that is a number that would be very fair to compare to the number of like Epic Store accounts or Uplay accounts or EA Origin accounts. I can guarantee you that each one of those storefronts has considerably less. Good Old Games probably has considerably less. I wouldn't be surprised if Good Old Games, which is arguably the next biggest video game store for PC, has less than 500 million. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo accounts, which would be, I guess, Nintendo Online accounts, are going to be extremely small since that's a new service, but also wouldn't be surprised if active or even total signed up PlayStation Network accounts and Xbox Live accounts don't reach 1 billion either.
The pleasure is mine.
Of course, active versus sign up is a big difference too. I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox and PlayStation have a kind of extremely high number of inactive accounts, since you have to make an account to log in anyways. That doesn't mean though that people are going to immediately or ever buy anything from Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called Tank X, which is a low-effort tank fighting game. Player versus player, early access for 59 cents, single player and multiplayer. Nothing visually appealing about this game, though.
I'll never tell. Show me.
Now this next story might be a big story and it might not. It really kind of depends on whether DO Global Apps has a game that anybody cares about.
I'll never tell.
Darn it.
I'll
Play
never
this.
tell.
I started watching the 1950s Outer Limits, the original Outer Limits. I don't think I've ever watched that on Amazon Prime. It's kind of interesting watching old sci-fi shows. But honestly, there hasn't... I know that CBS All Access has a new Twilight Zone series, but I'm not going to get CBS All Access, and what I've heard about it, they're not particularly interesting or great episodes. They're sometimes good, sometimes bad, which I think Black Mirror is kind of in the same place. Anyways, from that tangent, 46 DO Global apps have been removed from Google Play following alleged ad fraud. Apparently, it is partially owned. DO Global is partially owned by the Chinese internet company Baidu. It was concealing app ownership details, and a portion of their apps include code that frequently clicked on ads. I have a game I play that is timed just perfectly to make you accidentally click on a purchase a button to buy gems in the game, basically. But then I always just hit the back button. And then when I hit the back button, it says, well, we'll give you $1 discount if you buy it now. And then I go, no, I'm not going to buy this. I didn't even mean to hit the button. You popped an ad right under where I was about to click. And it does it like 3 times a week. It's really annoying, and it should not be allowed. So, unless Dio Games has a game here that I can mention, I'm not sure there's too much to do here.
Have enough
Job's done.
Let's see. Most of the company's apps have been removed from Google Play.
I give up.
I imagine all of their apps will be eventually removed. Yeah, there's just like no comment here though about what games Dio Global Apps has. So I guess if you find that an app is been removed from your phone without you doing that, that's because Google Play removed it. And I doubt it Google Play bothers to tell you what's going on in these instances. I'm gonna accidentally get this done regardless, so I really don't even have to do rogue cards. Can I win if I play Priest, or am I just wasting my time if I play Priest? I think I'm just wasting my time, so I'm gonna stick with Paladin. This is not really a big story, but they're trying to make it a big story. Gamma Sutra has an article, Microsoft distanced itself from Minecraft creator Notch ahead of the anniversary event. Let's see. He won't be included in the festivals, which kind of is no duh. Like, he hasn't wanted to have anything to do with Minecraft since he quit working with Mojang. He was tired before he stopped working with Mojang about people tweeting him, about people talking to him about Minecraft. He doesn't want to be defined by Minecraft. He never wanted Minecraft to be successful. He's either was crazy to begin with or was driven crazy, and I mean this colloquially speaking, by his success, and now he's just either troll tweeting or actually tweeting ridiculous things on Twitter from what I hear. But he has nothing to do with Minecraft. He should always be credited as the creator of Minecraft in the credits, and then that's about that. But as far as a 10th anniversary event, he doesn't want to have anything to do with this, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he came out specifically and said, don't even credit me for it, I'm tired of even that much. He probably should quit Twitter. Probably make him a little bit happier too if he just removed himself or privated himself on all social media sites. Meanwhile, Minecraft and Mojang are doing fairly well, adding new updates and things. One thing that the most recent update happens, and I think this is kind of sneaky but good business, is the most recent update in Minecraft has added things like a cauldron, a grindstone, scaffolding, things that before, if you typed into Google Minecraft cauldron, you'd be taken directly to a plugin, an add-on, a mod that uses a cauldron. Probably Thermocraft, because that uses a cauldron. So what they're doing is taking back a lot of the search engine optimization for mods by putting something into the main game that's not as good as the mods in any way, but has the same name. This is the theory as far as why the movie Frozen is called Frozen, in particular is because they wanted to put out a movie that would come up at the top of searches whenever anybody types in the phrase Disney and Frozen instead of the not true story that Disney, the creator of Disney, has his head frozen or his whole body frozen, and he's still alive in some kind of cryogenic stasis from decades ago. So it's kind of a cool idea. The side effect there also is that Minecraft has certainly gotten bigger and better. They're doing a lot more with the villagers. Villagers actually matter. Minecraft is definitely not just about Minecrafting anymore, which is good because the Minecrafting, the mining part of it was pretty boring. So yeah, there's all kinds of little things that they've added well after Notch left. Meanwhile, I think it is also worth mentioning that Mojang was trying to make that game Scrolls, and that game failed miserably. And they don't really have another game that they've announced that's in development, which is kind of a shame because that it really does seem to make Mojang just the Minecraft company, and if Microsoft, who owns Mojang now, wanted them to develop something different, I don't think they'd be capable of doing it or be allowed by Microsoft to do it, or they'd probably split off into a new company in total. On the other hand, I would also say all the updates that have been added to Minecraft can't beat Fortnite. Like, there's not very many Minecraft streamers that are getting to the top of YouTube these days, who are actually just playing Minecraft.
Reporting for duty.
Job's done.
If I can just get a little bit more damage. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Minecraft developer Mojang donates $100,000 to Charity Water, which I assume Charity Water is something that helps give water, fresh water, good water, clean water to it. Let's see. It seems to be to give more to the charity. They're asking people to download this free map called the Traveling Trader. This is probably not something you can get for the original version of Minecraft. So yeah, they're donating to charity for their 10th anniversary too. No big surprise there. This.
Time's up. Let's do this.
So, yeah, moving on. Let's see. Here's a retro game news article. The first Soul... Haven't seen a reject button on these cookie things before. First classic Soul Calibur game has been remastered thanks to an AI-enhanced HD texture pack. So you can install this texture pack and then use it in the Dreamcast emulator Recast, which is part of the one of the RetroArch cores, or cores that RetroArch uses. This opens an interesting question, certainly. That looks rather good for a Sega Dreamcast game. So assume that's textured. It's not zoomed in much. Let's see if we could open image in a new tab and see what that looks like. Yep. That's pretty good for a Dreamcast picture. It opens a new door, though, that why play the latest Soul Calibur game if if you could just remaster the old ones, and if you just have nostalgia for that? Of course, the moves would be different in more modern Soul Calibur games, and there'd be new characters and such, but we may hit a point where old games are still very playable. There definitely is an argument to be said, like, why would I want to play Super Mario Brothers 2 when I could play Super Mario Brothers 1? Or why would I want to play one of the, like, Super Mario Brothers Galaxy 2 or Super Mario Brothers Sunshine when I could play Super Mario Brothers 64 and they all look the exact same, if they all look the exact same. Like, I think we're probably very far away from that point where all games are equal because all games are constantly being remastered and improved in graphics. But at a certain point we might hit that, where only the story, only the ideas, only the little changes here and there that you might make to a series justify a new version of a game even existing. The Tomb Raider reboot, in a lot of ways, could be sold as that. If the very first Tomb Raider game, very first Lara Croft game, looked as good as the Tomb Raider reboot game did, I probably would have preferred to play the original Tomb Raider game. I'm not sure that I would be too out of line compared to most people in that. Let's just play this. Moving on, we have a story here. Epic Games Store exclusive Anno 1800 is the fastest selling game in the franchise history. I wonder why that would be the case. It probably, more than anything else, is Anno 1800 came out just a few days ago, and there's really nothing else coming out during this time. That being said, there's also a way that this could be manipulated to sound like that is true when most people would not agree with that actually being the case, and that would be just a simple matter of the exclusivity deal and the deal with Epic had a guaranteed number of sales on top of that. That seems how all these exclusivity deals happen with the Epic Game Stores. So because they're doing I think Anno 1800 is a year-long exclusivity deal, not just 6 months. If they're day one upfront being told you're getting paid for the equivalent of a guarantee in 1 million units sold, then you could certainly say, well, we sold 1 million units day one, when in actuality they sold 1 million units to the Epic Store, and now the Epic Store is reselling that 1 million units to recoup that that cost, that expense they spent over the course of the next year. And there's no way, if that's how they're doing the numbers and that's how they're cheating it, there's no way that you could beat that. Like, that would just never be realistic to have 1 million units sold in day one in video games. Not until there's several planets worth of humans in the universe, at least. So that might be how they're manipulating this. Let's see. It could also be that being a big fish in a small pond really worked for the Anno series. That's definitely believable too, because why wouldn't that work rather well for them? think there's too much more to say about that. Meanwhile, personally, I don't think I want to play the Anno series, and I was considering it before, and it didn't seem like something that I was interested in. I don't think I'd be interested in it anymore, more or less, because it's an Epic Store exclusive. Right. I can't do that. That won't work.
Mistakes were
Your turn to bleed.
Okay. Next story we have GameIndustry.biz has an article here. A dark room has been pulled from the Switch eShop for including a code editor, which one assumes that a code editor is not allowed because... What in the world is that card? Nobody ever plays this card. Barista one assumes you can't have a code editor in a game on the Switch because then it would force
mistakes were made.
Like, yeah, you can't have a code editor because then people could put in code for other games in Ruby. I don't know how well you could program in Ruby to make a game, and probably do exploits pretty easily to run ROMs and such. Let's see. Apparently the developer added a Ruby editor at the last second without the publisher's knowledge. Let's see. So if you use the USB keyboard and press the tilde key on the keyboard following the instructions that appeared, the Easter egg effectively turns every consumer-spaced Nintendo Switch into a Ruby machine. Let's see. So it was the publisher Circle Entertainment that is upset, but I'm sure Nintendo is upset with that idea too. We're liaising with Nintendo to clarify on the next steps, and we'll deal with the matter accordingly. Until we clarify the next steps with Nintendo, we can't offer any further comments. So, on the face of it, it kind of sounds like, who cares? It has a Ruby editor in it, but I think Nintendo very much cares for the possibility to run unapproved code.
Well played.
You could put in like a hot coffee-esque mod into any game and then have that show up on TV and on news as if it was fully approved and allowed. You could run exploits and completely root your potentially root the Switch to have it run unsigned code all the time. Still not winning very well. Not getting very many victories here. End of the month blues with Hearthstone. GameIndustry.biz has the same article. Google removes DO Global Games from the Play Store. Developer with only for 100 apps and 600 million installs is banned following reports of concealing ownership info and ad fraud. The concealing ownership info is a thing that Google and most people, I assume, most big corporations do. They want to find out who really is running this company, who really owns it, and ban that person in particular, so that they don't just go and make a new company or a new shell corporation to hide their bad deeds, which is pretty much obviously how they would plan on building shell corporations and limited liability corporations, LLCs, to shield themselves from legal actions or extra legal actions like being banned.
Put this apple on your head.
Okay. Next we have a game on Steam here called Four Seals, which looks like it's a horror game with maybe a little bit more to it than that, but I'm not sure how much more. A lot of this does seem like it is pretty much just a simplistic horror asset flip game. It's $3.99 discounted. There's some art here that I think gives it a chance, so I'll put it on the fall list. The price isn't too high. This looks like a new unique thumbnail. This looks like new unique art. I imagine this is probably an extremely short game, not even worth $4 though. Okay, redemption and this
Reporting for duty.
and attack here. So Borderlands is coming out May 1st, and they're going to have certain Twitch streamers use this extension that allows people to look automatically into what the streamer's inventory is and their skill build up and such. So no more would you have this annoying case for streamers where people are going, hey, what are the stats on that gun? What gun is that? What do you have in your inventory? What skill build are you? The same questions over and over again. So instead you can just look yourself and hover over it if you're watching on Twitch, a streamer. Also, the incentive for an end user or a viewer on Twitch to install this is, I suspect, if you have pre-ordered Borderlands 3 on the Epic Store and you watch like this, you might be given a free loot box for your account. The problem, as I see it, as a streamer myself, is you're not really going to be super happy with people chatting less in your chat unless you are a huge streamer that already has thousands upon thousands of people chatting every minute in your chat in the first place. If you have tons and tons of people asking the same question, yes, it makes sense that there would be plugins for games to just let people check out that information. Sure. But if you're a streamer like me, where almost nobody is on the chat nearly ever, if you're just a small YouTube streamer where streaming is not the focus, and this extension, this Twitch plugin absolutely won't work for the YouTube streamers, I would love for 100 people to ask, hey, what gun are you using, and just be able to respond again, and just respond and just respond. Most streamers are constantly repeating themselves anyways. Most YouTube content creators just repeat themselves all the time anyways. I just did it right then and there. So reducing an opportunity to repeat yourself, isn't that helpful? Here's the skill layout where you can look at that. Here's the things. Now I assume you have to own the game. You can have a shift code right now, but you can't be a VIP unless you pre-order Borderlands 3, and you can't pre-order Borderlands 3 without let's see. Apparently, maybe you don't have to be a VIP, but yeah, I do have to applaud Gearbox in their effort here to hype up Borderlands 3. They are definitely doing what they should be doing to make that game a game where everybody is super hyped about it. Except for the one major problem that is way too big of a problem for people like me and a lot of other people, which is the Epic Store exclusivity. Like, that problem is not going to be addressed. And so, like, for somebody who's going to wait until Borderlands 3 is not exclusive, and probably at that point wait a lot longer until it goes on sale, I kind of don't care to watch streamers play Borderlands. I'm not sure too many people in general want to watch streamers play Borderlands because it's going to be such a specifically unique experience for each player. I think a lot of people are going to play Borderlands 3 and not watch streamers play. Streaming wasn't at all as big of a thing, certainly, when Borderlands 2 or the Borderlands the pre-sequel even was out. Definitely not a thing when Borderlands 1 came out. So yeah, that's gonna be a issue. Speaking of issues, yeah, I bet very few people succeed at streaming Borderlands 3. I bet you see people stream it for the first day or first couple days, people particularly that are likely to have been paid to stream it anyways. I wouldn't be surprised if you get somebody like Ninja streaming it for a few days, and then they either stop or they keep playing it because they enjoy it, but they fully acknowledge that they are getting very few views. I imagine a lot of people will just stop because I bet they're not going to get a lot of views. Now, here we are in a weird position, and this is just kind of how I want this to go going forward. We've done the daily quests for the European account. We haven't done the daily quests for the Americas account. And we are about a minute and 30 below an hour. So my alarm clock hasn't even gone off yet. But yeah, this is the point to break this up and move over to the Asian account and see if we can get the 2 daily quests done there. We may have games left over. We may have news left over. If that's the case, it'll be pretty easy to go back to the main account, the Americas account, and try and play some more games then. But for the moment, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.